because you have to understand the landscape before you can venture on your own. Yo, what up? My name's Braden. Genres are great. In a world with an enormous variety of music, it's extremely useful to have a system that we can use to find what we want to find. These categories feel pretty intuitive to us. Most of us can listen to a song and put it in a general category of rock, hip-hop, or country without a ton of difficulty. But there's no clear rules for any of it. What is it exactly that determines if a song should be in one group or another? Is it really as simple as placing a piece of music in its well-defined category? So stick around, because in this video I'm going to show you that genres are not what you might think they are, and tell you how and why they change over time. Music philosophy. So, what is a genre anyway? I guess we should probably start with Google. Let's ask them. Hey Google, what is the definition genre? Question mark. Genre, noun. A category of artistic composition, as in music or literature, characterized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter. Okay, so this definition is a good place to start. Genres of music are categories based on similarities. It paints the picture that there are a bunch of different buckets a song could be placed in. It could be in the hip-hop bucket or the classical bucket. It's this or that. But this feels too discrete to me. People create music that adapts and combines the ideas from different genres all the time. It doesn't seem simple to collapse that experimentation into one category, and how would we determine which label is the right one to give? Because in reality, the spectrum of all possible music is both continuous and infinite. So just pretend that this space represents all of the possible music that could be created, and a point is one single piece of music in that space. You'll have to use your imagination for this a bit, because an actual quantitative example is impossible. So we're going to have to think qualitatively for this video. If 2 points in the space are closer to each other, that means they're more similar to each other. Farther apart, and they're more different. If we imagine we plot a bunch of points in this space, what would their distribution look like? Well, let's think through it, remembering that artists are continuously influenced by one another. Maybe there's a point right here that is especially impactful, and it inspires more music that is similar. And then those songs, adapting on an already impactful idea, have the same effect and inspire even more songs. Now, like the formation of a star, this cluster of songs starts to have its own gravitational quality, attracting more and more similar creations. Based on our original definition, the best word we have for this type of a cluster is a genre. They're songs that are collected together because of similarities. But maybe now we could give a different definition that goes something like this. Genre, noun, a cluster of similar art within the infinite continuum of all possible art, classified by similarities in form, style, or subject matter. But now we have a problem. Where do we draw the lines around these clusters? Do we draw them here? Do we draw them here? Is this point a part of the cluster? If we draw the lines exactly around the bulk, and we imagine a song that lives between two clusters, well then we'd have to say that song is completely genreless. But this probably isn't accurate. If you imagine what a song in this position might sound like, it's more likely that it's a combination of the two genres rather than being void of both ideas. Maybe lines are the wrong way to think about this. We're going to have to delve deep into the analogy of outer space. We compared the creation of a genre to that of a new star. Stars create a gravitational pull towards them, and thanks to Newton, we know that force is modeled by this equation. Now don't worry, we're not going to get into physics, but the important part is this over r squared term. Basically, the farther away you are from something, the weaker its gravitational pull on you. But importantly, this can never, ever reach zero. Right now, you are being pulled by every single celestial body in the universe. But luckily, you're so far away that their effects are essentially negligible. We only count the one with the most significant impact. And for you, that's the Earth, even if you're on the ISS. What if we thought about assigning genres to a piece of art in this way? A song is not just influenced by one idea, but every single idea that has come before it. If we look at this point, it's not that it hasn't been influenced by the upper cluster at all, but it is far enough away that the influence is completely trumped by the effect of the nearer cluster, and so it makes sense to group it with that one. Instead of a hard cutoff point, we can analyze how attracted a song is to the clusters around it based on relative position, and label it based on the cluster that pulls the hardest. Nerd alert. Oh, dude, I'm filming. What are you doing? Hey, you know, you could have just said it's the cluster that's closest. You didn't have to go into that nerd stuff. I mean, not necessarily. I kind of left out the part about mass and how the bigger clusters have a strong... Oh yeah, that's cool. Hey, I just popped in to tell you that my new album, Nothingness, is out now. Everywhere you already listen to music. It's only 20 minutes long. You got 20 minutes. I do definitely have 20 minutes. So check it out. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. It's my album. I'm Braden. We already established that. Link is in the description down below. Okay, so we've talked about what makes up a genre and how we might decide which one a song belongs to, and now we're faced with the last piece of the puzzle. How do we decide where we actually draw this point in space? What makes this song live here and not here? It's not like we can just assign some guy to make these sorts of decisions. Every single person has different opinions and tastes. There's no objective way to decide. We latch on to different things. Given the same song, some people might latch on to the guitar riff and decide it belongs sort of near the rock category, while others might hear the drum beat and decide it sounds more like a funk song. And it gets worse than that, because while the definition from Google said that songs are categorized based on form, style, and subject matter, that isn't always true. A famous example is Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. It consists only of a vocal performance and a string arrangement. Based primarily on form and style, this song should undoubtedly be placed somewhere near orchestral works. But because the Beatles were a rock band who primarily released rock music, Eleanor Rigby generally gets lumped towards the rock genre as well. So it seems public opinion also plays a part in determining the genre of a piece of music. And in fact, it might actually be the most important factor. Since we can't trust any one individual to place a song based on some objective set of criteria, it becomes the job of an entire society. The location is then the average of the opinions of all people who hold one. Sure, most of the time this will line up with similarities in style, but as we've seen, this can be overwritten. And now, we again have to modify that definition. Genre, noun. A cluster of similar art within the infinite continuum of all possible art, classified by public opinion, often based on similarities in form, style, or subject matter. So what are the implications of this? Well, it means that genres aren't just buckets to throw music into. They're living, changing things. They're like galaxies in a universe of sound. Genres move through space. They grow closer to each other and even collide. Just think about hip-hop and jazz over the past 10 years. They've certainly gotten closer together and much more homogeneous than they used to be. And so many people will tell you that rock is dead, but this simply isn't true. Rock has just spread itself out through space and diversified dramatically. Just think about the differences between stadium rock and deathcore. And then, rock ideas are still dominant in pop music today. It's as alive as it ever has been. It's not the same rock as it was in 1975, but that doesn't mean it's dead. It's just changed. But that's okay. That's what genres do. Like galaxies, genres can be born. Just think about electronic music. It didn't exist 100 years ago, and now it's one of the biggest movements in the music industry today. Genres can die. Just think about all the music over human history that is no longer relevant, that has either moved on or completely died out. And of course, like galaxies, we can zoom in to view smaller pockets. Within rock, you can see the fractal-like nature where systems like grunge, punk, metal, you name it, are as alive as the cluster they themselves form. The bottom line is this: don't feel as if you have to conform your ideas to fit a predefined set of expectations. Genres are fluid and shaped by public opinion. You're part of the public, and your opinion matters. If you have something that resonates with you, something that you want to say, then say it, because chances are good that it resonates with someone else. Who knows, you might modify a cluster or even create your own little cluster of influence. That's not to say that you should actively reject the ideas of popular music. If you only oppose the ideas that people like, people will oppose yours. Music becomes popular for a reason. Try your best to discover why, because you have to understand the landscape before you can venture on your own. And think about the pioneers, the artists who explored unknown territories and in doing so found a sound that people love. If they had rejected their ideas in favor of taming them towards pre-existing expectations, they may never have been heard. Imagine if Kraftwerk had been like, nah, nobody wants to hear music made with computers. How wrong they would have been. even though there would have been plenty of people telling them at the time that compelling electronic music was impossible. And so, I wish you luck. Deviate from the path and remember where you're going and why you're going there. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Music Philosophy. If you did, leave a like, give me your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing. I've recently upgraded my entire setup, so I'll be pumping more of these out as quickly as I can. In the meantime, you can click here to watch all the previous episodes. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.